They don't know why they lost. Like the fingers are all like this. You know, it seems like Kamala Harris's team thinks it's Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden's team thinks it's Kamala Harris's fault. There's another pocket of Dems that think it's just, you know, market circumstances and the Biden policies that got us into this hole. There's another group that's saying global circumstances. You know, a lot of incumbents are losing globally, and it's all due to COVID. Meanwhile, he wasn't actually the president who was in there when COVID broke out. He was just the one who ruined everything after it did. And then there's a very, very small pocket of Democrats that seems to be saying, do you think it's us, Stephen? Like, is it possible that it's us? I don't know. It might be us. And then there's the pocket of Democrats that's turning on that last pocket. Like, how dare you? How dare you say it's us? F you. That's your racism and your misogyny and your transphobia speaking, which is super fun for me because it shows they're not going to change and they're going to keep losing. That pocket of the Democrat Party that just won't move on identity politics is a cancer from within that is going to make them lose elections from now till forevermore. I mean, either they will remove that pocket, they will excise it like the cancer that it is from their party, or they will be brought down by said cancer as it metastasizes throughout the Democratic body. Either way, our side wins. The normals, we win. And I know, because I know who watches the show. I know I am speaking to Democrats who have left the party because of this nonsense, or who are still in the party, but begrudgingly because they're pro-choice or what have you on other issues. So I do describe us as the normal side. It's not just the right that I'm talking to here. It's the normies, like normal people who think there's a Mr. Rogers video that just got tweeted out by libs of TikTok, who think as Mr. Rogers did, boys stay boys, oh, forever. Girls stay girls forever too. And on all the other stuff. Maybe we'll cue that up so you can listen to Fred Rogers do it instead of me. I'm going to start off with Julie Roginski. I worked with her at Fox News. She's a Democrat. She's more of a centrist. And she's one of the Dems who are in that penultimate group I talked about saying, maybe it's us. Like maybe we've gone too far. And then, of course, getting the backlash for saying that. But take a listen to her. I believe this was today, SOT 4.
I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is the message that voters sent to us. We address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense.
No, it's not. She was right, except for the last part in there where she was saying, if I say the wrong pronoun, call me out. No, don't call me out. You should make it obvious for me what your pronoun is. And if you don't, you're going to have to suffer the consequences of my stepping on the wrong one. Sorry, I'm not doing pronouns. And if I use the one that you look like, if I happen to go with your gender identity, then good on you. You fooled me. And if I go with what my eyes and my instincts tell me, then too bad. But whatever. She's trying to speak sense to her side, and I appreciate that. But there is very good reason to believe it's not going to happen. She can't convince these people. They're too rabid, and they are deeply, deeply rabid. You tell me how she is going to get through to the likes of Joy Reid. Now, I'm going to play you an old soundbite of Joy Reid's. She hasn't changed a bit from this, but this is Joy Reid after Kyle Rittenhouse. I can't remember whether this was after he was acquitted or it must have been after he was arrested or just found himself in the news. But I remember the clip so well because she was mocking white tears. This woman is a raging racist. Race is everything to her. She hates white people, and she has one of the most prominent positions on the dying industry of cable news primetime. But she does have one of the most prominent positions on it. Take a listen to SOT 21.
There's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like, green waterworks.
Poor... Who's crying now, Joy? How you feeling this week? Your laughter at all the white tears. Guess what? Whites and blacks and Latinos just flipped you off. No one is buying into your version of identity politics and reducing everything to race essentialism and all the nonsense anymore. You've lost, and your entire belief system has been rejected by the vast majority of the American people. Maybe you'll go home and cry about it, and I'll laugh at your tears. It's just absurd. That's what Julie Roginski is up against. The Joy Reids of the world, the Sunny Hostins of the world. She's still railing on. We played this for you, but listen to SOT 15.
Finally, we talk a lot about these different demographics and these assumptions of where they're going to go. Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some lessons.
That's what that was.
The lessons are not misogyny.
Knock. Who's there? Oh my gosh, it's Whoopi.
Misogyny. See, I love this. I think this is great news for the normies, because those people cannot be convinced out of their sick ideology. And so, again, they'll lose every election from now until they get ostracized out of the party altogether. I mean, and then there's the true radical left, who's gone beyond all the identity issues. I mean, don't get me wrong. The person I'm going to show you is 100% wrapped in all of them, but like genuinely believes the Hitler fascist stuff, like is distraught because they really think Hitler just got reelected. Most of them were just pretending, but then there are the ones who genuinely believe it, like AOC. Take a listen to AOC in SOT 26.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives. Let's say peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism. And this is the era that we are poised to enter. Donald Trump has talked about turning the military on U.S. citizens that he deems his domestic political enemies. Authoritarians and people that he affiliates closely with and strongmen abroad in regimes like that, it is not uncommon to jail political dissidents or legislative opponents.
One of the most prominent Democrats in America. She's gone. I don't know what's going to happen to AOC. Her district went more than double digits to the right in this election. She may have a very limited time left. And there was talk about AOC becoming a senator. It's not going to happen. New York, the state of New York, never mind the city, which is the most blue part of New York, moved double digits to the right. She's not going to be a senator. What the Democrat Party needs right now to save itself is moderates, normal Democrats, like the ones who listen to this show sometimes. I know, I hear from you. I read the emails. If you want to send me one, it's Megyn at MegynKelly.com. And some of my friends are still Democrats, and they're listening to me right now, and they know I absolutely adore them. They don't know what's happened to their party. They're not on board with all this shit. They may play along here and there, but they're not on board with all this shit, and they don't want this nonsense. So they certainly don't believe that fascism lies. You know, They're normal Democrats who are like pro-choice, and they're really worried about the environment. And they think the Democrats, at least the Democrat Party of old, used to be better for them on tax policy. It used to, Mitt Romney's party would favor more, they thought, the rich and tax cuts and not them, with social safety net programs. Everything's done. That's all done. That's yesterday. That's yesteryear. It's a new day. And that is why today and yesterday, we've seen Bernie Sanders all over the news saying things like, is it any wonder that the Democrats lost the working class after years of abandoning it and not caring at all about it? And now they're really hand-wringing over how are we going to win elections with only the smart people? It's going to be really hard. It was a lot easier when we had the dumb ones. That's how they view the working class. I mean, speaking of Sonny Hostin, you saw that yesterday. They're uneducated. You know, it's great when they vote for us, but they're dumb. And it was wonderful because we could just fool them right into voting for us. But now somehow they've been wrested away from us by this maniac, Donald Trump. There is a group that's trying to convince themselves that really what the problem is here is not anything I listed in those first, 5 possibilities that the Dems are throwing out there as their problem, but a right-wing media system that has risen up to deliver misinformation in the deep, dark corners of the internet. We're hearing this more and more. It happened the night Trump won. Jen Psaki threw it out there. She would not be the only one, but this is one we have on camera. We've got it here somewhere. You guys know the one I'm looking for. Jen Psaki, Monday night. Take a listen.
And finally, let me just end with this. Our democracy is strong and the American people are fierce. But even if Trump is defeated tomorrow, he has exposed during his time out there some serious limitations within our system. And it may be time to ask ourselves things like whether social media platforms should have the freedom to operate at a lower level of accountability than local television networks in terms of the lies they can spread. Or whether the Electoral College alone is the right way to determine who should lead this country. Or whether, just putting it out there, a convicted felon should be eligible to run for the highest office in the land. Those are some really important questions at some point we will need to consider, but there's plenty of time for that. Those questions are not for tomorrow. Tomorrow is about answers. It's about finally learning how much protecting our democracy matters, whether morality and character matter, whether our rights to make choices about our own bodies matter enough to enough of the American people. Tomorrow, we will start to learn a whole lot more.
Dora, social media platforms, those are the problem. Trust in the media is at an all-time low. Can you blame them? Let's be honest, there's very good reason for this. We're all seeing how stories can be shaped or buried or killed or manipulated, depending on who's in charge. And this is why I want to tell you about a platform that does not play by those rules, one that prioritizes transparency above all else. Listen to this. The platform's called Ground News, an app and website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place, highlighting each source's political bias and corporate influence. And they show you stories that are underreported by one side of the political spectrum. A recent Gallup survey showed declining trust in mass media, and guess who didn't cover it? Left-leaning media. On Ground News, more than 80% of the coverage of this story is coming from right-leaning sources. Ground News has an entire blind spot feed with stories like this that are receiving lopsided coverage. And my viewers get 50% off their Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to their website and to their app. They are independent. They are supported by subscribers, not corporate interests. Check them out at groundnews.com/Megyn. That's ground, GROUND, news.com/Megyn to take back control of the news you consume. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.